Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. In the rugged wilderness of southwestern Arizona, where the unforgiving desert meets the Colorado River, there's a story that still echoes through the canyons. It's about a man who lost not one, but two fortunes. A man who could walk for days across terrain that would defeat modern vehicles, who knew every wash and mesa of the Trigo Mountains like the lines on his weathered palm. And yet, despite his intimate knowledge of this harsh landscape, he couldn't relocate the one thing that might have made him rich. A silver vein so pure that it glinted in the desert sun, waiting to be rediscovered. This is the tale of John Nummel and his lost silver mine, a mystery that has tantalized treasure hunters for nearly a century. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where we explore the forgotten stories of the American Southwest. I'm your host, and today we're traveling to a place that time has nearly forgotten, a corner of Arizona where prospectors once sought their fortunes and where one man's frustrating quest has become the stuff of local legend. Before we dive into this story, imagine walking 6 miles through mountains so rugged that modern four-wheel drive vehicles struggle to navigate them. Now imagine doing this regularly, in your 70s, under the blistering Arizona sun. This was just an average day for John Nummel, a man so accustomed to this punishing terrain that his neighbors remember him simply as a great walker. John Nummel's story begins around 1880 when he arrived in the Silver District of southwestern Arizona. This area, lying between what is now Yuma and the California border, had just experienced a silver boom with the discovery of 3 significant mines: the Clip, the Red Cloud, and the Black Rock. These operations would collectively produce over $600,000 in lead-silver output between 1880 and 1889, though old-timers insisted the true figure was much higher. Nummel was there when the Red Cloud mine made its initial strike. He worked as a miner, though his restless nature kept him from staying in one position for long. As the years passed and silver prices fell, the mines began to shut down. Eventually, the Red Cloud, which had been the heart of the district, fell into disuse, and Nummel found himself in a new role, caretaker of the abandoned property. By the late 1920s, Nummel had established a unique lifestyle that few modern people could imagine. He lived in a cabin on the Colorado River at a place called Conger Point, also known as Nummel's Landing, about 75 miles northwest of Yuma. Ed Rochester, one of Nummel's contemporaries, described the location as being at the end of the world's worst road. Nummel's only motorized transportation was an ancient Model T truck with a worm drive. This vehicle was so unreliable that trips to Yuma often took a week in either direction. When the truck inevitably broke down, Nummel thought nothing of walking 10 miles to the river, calling across to friends on the other side and continuing his journey with their help. The mine was about 6 miles from his cabin as the crow flies, or 10 miles by the treacherous road, but the distance didn't trouble Nummel. During the summer months, when there was little to do at the mine, he regularly commuted between the two locations, almost always on foot. And here's where our story takes its fateful turn. On these walks, Nummel developed a habit that would both lead to his greatest discovery and his greatest frustration. Each time he traveled between the mine and his cabin, he took a different route, prospecting as he went. He would knock off samples from interesting outcroppings, carry them back to his cabin, and add them to a growing pile of rocks that he intended to examine, eventually. One day, on one of these routine walks, Nummel struck a ledge that looked promising. As was his custom, he broke off some samples and brought them back to his cabin, where they joined the other unexamined specimens. And there they might have remained indefinitely if not for a visit from Walter Riley, a prominent mining man from Yuma and a longtime friend of Nummel's. Riley noticed something special about some of the rocks in Nummel's collection. With the old prospector's blessing, he took samples back to Yuma for assay. The results were stunning. The rock contained extraordinarily high-grade silver. When Riley returned to share the news, his excitement couldn't be contained. "Where did you get that rock?" Riley demanded. "If there's enough of it, you've got a bonanza." Nummel examined the samples and claimed he remembered the day, the place, and the ledge from which he had collected them. But when he led Riley to the spot, they found only worthless rock. His memory had failed him. Desperately, the aging prospector tried to recall the correct location. Several possibilities came to mind, and he methodically checked each one. None led to the silver-rich ledge. Finally, he embarked on an exhaustive reinvestigation of every possible route between the Red Cloud mine and his cabin, searching every wash, every trail, every path he might have taken. The silver ledge remained hidden. The problem was compounded by the extent of Nummel's wanderings. In his decades of exploring the region, he had traversed virtually every square mile of the Trigo Mountains. He had hiked to Castle Dome Landing, to the river opposite Picacho, and all the way to Cibola Valley, far upriver, where he maintained a 40-acre homestead. Given the vast area Nummel had covered and the unmarked nature of his routes, it's perhaps unsurprising that he never relocated his silver ledge. The landscape he traversed was so empty and broken that no unmarked path through it could ever be retraced precisely. Even for a man who knew the desert as intimately as John Nummel, some secrets remained hidden. But silver wasn't the only treasure Nummel discovered in his desert wanderings. Perhaps his most unusual find was what he called his petrified turtles. According to Clyde Stewart, another local who knew Nummel well, the prospector described these objects as big, just like desert turtles. They were thick through and had legs, but John couldn't see any heads. They were solid rock, but he didn't find them in rock. They were lying loose alongside the wash. What were these mysterious formations? Stewart had his theory. John said he found them in granite hills, but there must be andesite or rhyolite somewhere in that canyon, and these large geodes in the shape of turtles washed out from it. Old John talked about it so much he started believing he had some petrified turtles. Ed Rochester, meanwhile, believed Nummel found them in red sandstone. He had heard from sources he considered reliable that one specimen was sent to a scientific institution, where it was identified as a genuine fossil turtle. Unlike his silver ledge, Nummel knew exactly where his turtles were located. However, he remained secretive about their whereabouts. Once, on a trip with Rochester, Nummel promised to show him the mountains with the turtles, but the old prospector was very elderly by then, and the side excursion never materialized. As for the Lost Silver mine, there seems little doubt that Nummel's discovery was genuine. The Silver District was known for its rich deposits, and the old-timers who knew Nummel accepted his story without question, though they differed on where his ledge most likely lay. José Alvarado, another contemporary, offered this intriguing possibility. A Dutchman who worked at the King of Arizona while I operated the mill there had a mine between the Red Cloud and Mojave tanks, going toward Ehrenberg. Native silver. That could have been John's ledge. Alvarado added an even more tantalizing detail. And the Indians used to bring pure silver into Castle Dome Landing, used it for arrow points. While I was at the King, an old Yaqui, a Gambesino called Placer Mike, told us, "If you fellows want silver, I will tell you a place in this country where you can load up all you want." He said he found it at the foot of a sharp peak, big vein, black on the outside, but it was almost pure silver when he broke it. John Nummel continued living at his riverside cabin and searching for his lost ledge throughout the 1930s. After he began receiving a pension, he moved to Laguna Dam, where he built a shack among a community of old prospectors. From there, he eventually went to the pioneer's home in Prescott, where he died in 1948. Anyone tempted to search for Nummel's silver today should consider the long and fruitless hunt conducted by the man who discovered it in the first place, a man who knew that terrain better than anyone. They should also acknowledge the deadly nature of the desert Nummel traversed with such apparent ease. The Red Cloud had another caretaker after Nummel, a man named Walter Nelson. Less than a month after being visited by a writer in 1955, Nelson was found dead beside his car, which had stalled in deep sand 5 miles down Red Cloud Wash. The desert that John Nummel had mastered for decades had claimed another life. "He may not have grown rich here," the writer concluded, "but John Nummel mastered the land." And perhaps that was John Nummel's true legacy. Not a lost silver mine, but a life lived in harmony with one of America's most challenging landscapes. He had found a way to thrive where others merely survived, to find joy in isolation, and to see potential wealth where others saw only barren rock. The Silver Ledge remains lost to this day, another entry in the long catalog of desert treasures that continue to captivate our imagination. But the story of John Nummel, the great walker who twice glimpsed fortune only to lose it again, reminds us that sometimes the journey itself is the real treasure. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest Gold story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.